Hi, second graders. Today we are working on Skills Unit 5, Lesson number 18. Our learning targets for today's lesson, we're going to identify past and present tense verbs in phrases or sentences. We're going to talk a little bit more about writing what-if questions for our next story, Fire, which you've already read, but it's a story after we practice this from yesterday's lesson. And then you will also be reading a new story out of Sir Gus called The King's Birthday. So you have already learned about verbs. We reviewed this in yesterday's lesson as well, and we learned about two different kinds of verbs. The first one is action verbs, or things that you do, and the second one is the verb to be. That has to do with existing, right? An action verb shows what somebody is doing. Sleep is an action verb because it's something that they're doing. Swim is an action verb because it's something that they're doing. Our verb to be includes tenses like are, am, and is, which are present tense right now, and then was and were in the past tense, meaning already happened. Okay? You're going to review just the present and past tense of action verbs today, not our to be verbs. Okay? So I'm going to project a couple of wiggle cards, and you're going to think about if the verb is in the present tense or the past tense, and feel free to act these out as they pop up on screen as well. After you read the wiggle card and identify the tense, you can act it out and then use it in a complete sentence. For example, our first wiggle card says stand in the middle of the room. So you can act it out, stand in the middle of the room, and ask yourself, what's the action that you're doing? What word is the action? That would be stand. So your verb is stand. Now ask yourself, does stand mean happen right now, or did stand already happen in the past? We would say stand is present tense because it's happening right now. This next one says stumble. Go ahead and act it out. And now I ask you, is stumble a present tense verb happening right now, or is it a past tense? This one is present tense. It's happening right now. You might have noticed also it doesn't have that ed ending as a clue, right? It's not in the past. How about this one? Act it out for me. Is this present tense or is this past tense? Giggle is right now. It doesn't say giggled. It says giggle. Nice. Next word says mumble. Some of you might not know what mumble means, even though you might do it a lot. If you're mumbling, it kind of sounds like that. It's hard to understand someone when they're mumbling, right? So mumble, is that present tense or past tense? Mumble is present tense. It's happening right now. How about this one? Act it out. Which word is the verb? Wiggle. Good. Your verb is wiggle. It's the action that you're doing. Now, is wiggle a present tense verb, meaning happening right now, or is it past tense, meaning already happened? It's a present tense verb. Excellent. So in yesterday's lesson, we talked about changing the ending of a story. And today, you're going to work a little bit more with that for a different story from Sir Gus. Now, yesterday we read The Hungry Troll, right? We read The Hungry Troll, and we asked some questions like, what if Sir Gus didn't have a cold? What if Sir Gus had woken up when all the other knights did? What if Sir Gus hadn't gone to the kitchen for pie and he went to fight off the troll with the rest of the knights? How would that change the ending of the story? So today, what we're going to do is reread the story Fire, okay? Now, this is only on worksheet 18.1. It's only part of the story Fire, but that's so that you can hone in on the questions that you're going to be practicing, okay? So I'm going to read off of 18.1. It's not the entire story, but I want you to think about some what-if questions. You're going to try and think of 5 of them. In your Google form, I believe you only have to type 1, but we want to see if we can think of more than one what-if question while we're working on rewriting an ending. So without further ado, here's a section of the story Fire. Get those what-if wheels turning. Sir Gus went up the hill alone. What if Sir Gus wasn't alone when he went up the hill? Could that change the ending of the story? By the time he reached the mouth of the cave, it was pitch black. The lit torch cast shadows on the ground. What if it was daytime when Sir Gus got to the mouth of the cave? Could that have changed the story? I'm up to 2 what-if questions already. Sir Gus looked around him. He saw shadows dancing on the ground. He was afraid, but he pressed on. What if Sir Gus wasn't afraid of the dark? Could that have changed the story? From inside the cave came alarming troll sounds. The troll was eating bits of rock with its sharp teeth, then spitting out the bits it did not like. What if the troll didn't have teeth at all? Could that have changed what happened in the story? Sir Gus approached the cave. Small pieces of rock came flying out. Some of them landed at Sir Gus's feet. Sir Gus jumped back, trying to avoid the flying pieces of rock. What if Sir Gus got hit in the head with a rock? Could that have changed the story? I want you to be thinking of all of these what-if questions. Suddenly there was a thumping sound. Thump, thump, thump. The troll was coming out of the cave. As the troll got closer, the sounds got louder. And that's where we'll stop. Okay? So, notice that was not the entire story, but did you hear all those stopping points where I said, I wonder if this had happened, how would that have changed the story? So you're going to use one of the questions that we talked about in the video, or you can come up with your own question that you were wondering. What if this happened? What if this happened? What if the troll was actually a giant teddy bear? That's kind of an out there what if, but it's still what if. Would that have changed how fire ended? I think it might have. So what do we know about how the story ended after this? You have to stretch back into your memory. We'll review it on the next slide. We know that Sir Gus fainted because he got so scared. His torch lit the ground and the cave on fire. The troll ran away to escape the fire because we know trolls are afraid of fire. What if trolls weren't afraid of fire? And all of the knights thought Sir Gus had been brave. Was Sir Gus brave? No, Sir Gus was scared. He lucked out. He got so scared he fainted. And he started a fire on accident, which scared the troll away. Okay? So I want you to be thinking of your what-if questions. You can write them on 18.2 in your workbook. And then you're going to take your favorite what-if question, and that's going to go in your Google form. When you're picking your favorite what-if question, I want you to be thinking, what's your strongest question? What's the question that could change the story the most? Okay? We shouldn't be asking questions like, what if Sir Gus's name was Sir Greg? Because would that really change the story that much? Probably not. But what if Sir Gus was not afraid of the troll? Would that have changed the story? It would change it quite a bit, right? So you are going to work on that on your own. And last but not least for today's lesson, I'm going to introduce the next story to you that you will be reading as part of your Google form after you finish those what-if questions, okay? And it's called The King's Birthday. So happy birthday to the king, right? So today you're going to read about the beginning of King Alfred's birthday party, okay? Some of the spellings that you're going to come across are, there's our schwa. Our schwa, royal, royal, amazed, Ivan. Notice Ivan is capitalized. It's a proper noun because it's his name. Attend and thousand. We also have nervous. Plus ul, candles. So we have schwa and L. And then we have using the spelling O, coming, months, and wonderful. Some of our vocabulary, first one is a feast. Everyone go, A feast is a large meal that's served for many guests. Next word is joust. A joust is a competition between two knights, they're usually on horseback, who try to knock each other off with their lances, and you can see that in this picture here. The next one is sire. Sire is a beautiful example of a magic E because this E makes the I say I. Sire is a respectful title used to address kings in medieval times. And last but not least, we have the word boasted. If you are boasting, then you are bragging. Notice the ed ending. This is past tense, boasted. You can see the man in the picture is talking about probably a fish that he caught, right? And he's saying, it was this big. So he's boasting or bragging about that fish. So you are going to read today's story to find out what takes place at King Alfred's birthday. On your Google form today, you're going to tell me what your best what-if question is for the story Fire. You're going to read the king's birthday, go back in the text to help you, and then you have a few questions about that. Okay, so what did he have planned for his birthday? And you're going to, today's lesson, you're looking specifically at characters. So who said blank? Who said blank? I have a really hard time with these sometimes. The best thing that I can do is look back in the story and find where it says, "We are the most feared knights of all time," said Sir Tom. So if it says, "Who said we are the most feared knights of all time?" I know that it's Sir Tom because I looked back in the text to find out who said it. Okay? And this is all for today. We practiced past and present tense verbs in phrases with our wiggle cards. We talked about some what-if questions for that section of the story, Fire, that we read. And you are going to be reading the King's Birthday and answering those questions on your own in your Google form. Make sure to go back in the text to help and ask if you have any questions for us, okay? Nice job today.